Sarah Martinez walked through the glass doors of Morrison & Associates every morning at exactly 8:45 a.m. She carried the same beige tote bag, wore variations of the same professional outfits, and took the same route to her desk in the accounting department. For 3 years, she had been the invisible backbone of the company's financial operations, the kind of employee everyone relied on but nobody really noticed. Her desk sat in the corner of the third floor, surrounded by filing cabinets and the constant hum of the printer. While other employees decorated their spaces with photos and personal items, Sarah's workspace remained minimal and functional. She preferred it that way, believing that good work should speak louder than personality. Daniel Chen occupied the office across from her cubicle. As the marketing director, he commanded attention wherever he went. His charm and confidence filled rooms before he even entered them. Women in the office often found excuses to walk past his door, and he seemed to enjoy the attention. Sarah had watched this routine for years, occasionally glancing up from her spreadsheets when his laughter echoed through the floor. Their interactions were limited to brief exchanges about expense reports and budget allocations. Daniel would stride to her desk, flash his practiced smile, and ask for financial projections or quarterly analyses. Sarah would provide them efficiently, and he would thank her with the same generic appreciation he showed the janitor or the security guard. She was simply part of the office infrastructure to him, as unremarkable as the water cooler. Sarah didn't mind being overlooked. She had learned early in life that standing out often meant becoming a target. Growing up as the middle child in a family of 5, she had perfected the art of being helpful but not demanding, present but not prominent. This strategy had served her well through school and into her professional life. Her mornings began at 5:30 a.m. with a run through the quiet streets of her neighborhood. Running cleared her mind and prepared her for the numerical challenges ahead. After her shower, she would make the same breakfast of oatmeal with berries and scan the financial news while eating. The routine comforted her, providing structure in a world that often felt chaotic. At work, Sarah excelled at finding patterns others missed. She could spot discrepancies in budgets that would have cost the company thousands. Her quarterly reports were so thorough that the board of directors had begun requesting her specifically for presentations. Yet somehow, the credit often went to her supervisor, Mr. Thompson, who would present her work as collaborative efforts of his team. The office dynamics fascinated Sarah from her corner perch. She observed the social hierarchies, the unspoken alliances, and the subtle power plays. Daniel, she noticed, had a particular routine with women. He would shower them with attention for a few weeks, take them to expensive dinners, and then gradually lose interest once the chase ended. Sarah had seen this cycle repeat with at least 4 women in their office. One Thursday afternoon, while organizing files for the annual audit, Sarah overheard Daniel on the phone. His office door was slightly open, and his voice carried clearly to her desk. He was breaking up with Monica from Human Resources, using phrases that sounded rehearsed and insincere. Sarah felt a pang of sympathy for Monica, who had been glowing for the past month, telling anyone who would listen about her wonderful new relationship. That evening, Sarah stayed late to finish the audit preparations. The office emptied gradually until only the cleaning crew remained. She found peace in these quiet hours, when she could work without interruption. Around 8 p.m., she heard footsteps and looked up to see Daniel leaving his office. He seemed surprised to find anyone still there. "Sarah, don't you have a life outside this place?" he asked, his tone somewhere between teasing and genuine curiosity. "Just finishing up the audit files," she replied, returning her attention to her computer screen. Daniel lingered for a moment, as if seeing her for the first time. Under the harsh fluorescent lights, with her hair pulled back and glasses perched on her nose, she looked dedicated and competent. Nothing more. He shrugged and headed for the elevator. Sarah watched him go, then returned to her work. She had no idea that her life was about to change dramatically. that the comfortable invisibility she had cultivated would soon shatter. For now, she was just Sarah Martinez, the efficient accountant in the corner cubicle, overlooked and underestimated. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister asking if she wanted to grab drinks. Sarah declined, citing work as always. The truth was, she preferred her solitude. After years of being invisible, she had convinced herself that this was exactly where she wanted to be. Little did she know that sometimes life has other plans, and that being overlooked was about to become a thing of the past. Everything changed the day Sarah received the phone call about her grandmother's inheritance. The lawyer's voice was formal and precise as he explained that her grandmother had left her not only money, but also a successful boutique hotel in Miami. Sarah sat in her cubicle, struggling to process the information. Her grandmother had always lived modestly, never hinting at such wealth. The decision to take a leave of absence came naturally. Sarah needed time to sort through the estate and decide what to do with the property. Mr. Thompson was surprisingly supportive, perhaps because he knew the audit was complete and perfectly organized. Daniel barely noticed her announcement during the staff meeting, too busy texting on his phone to pay attention. Miami transformed Sarah in ways she never expected. The boutique hotel, Casa Luna, was a gem hidden in the Art Deco district. The staff welcomed her warmly, sharing stories about her grandmother's generosity and business acumen. Sarah discovered that she had inherited not just property, but a legacy of strong women who had built something extraordinary. She spent her days learning the hotel business, shadowing the manager, and understanding the operations. The work energized her in ways that spreadsheets never had. In the evenings, she explored the city, trying new restaurants and walking along the beach. The humid air and vibrant culture seemed to awaken something dormant within her. Her wardrobe evolved naturally. The conservative suits gave way to flowing dresses and bold colors that matched the Miami aesthetic. She started wearing her hair loose, letting the natural waves frame her face. The constant sunshine gave her skin a healthy glow, and the physical work of helping renovate parts of the hotel-toned muscles she forgot she had. 3 months into her leave, Sarah made the decision to resign from Morrison & Associates. She submitted her resignation via email, keeping it professional and brief. The responses varied from surprise to indifference. Mr. Thompson seemed panicked about losing his most competent employee. Daniel didn't respond at all. Sarah threw herself into running Casa Luna. She implemented new financial systems, streamlined operations, and launched a social media campaign that attracted a younger clientele. The hotel began appearing in travel blogs and lifestyle magazines. She discovered she had a natural eye for design and personally oversaw the renovation of the rooftop bar. 6 months later, Sarah returned to her old city for a conference on boutique hospitality. She had debated attending, knowing it meant potentially running into former colleagues, but the networking opportunity was too valuable to pass up. She booked a suite at a downtown hotel and prepared for 3 days of panels and workshops. The transformation was complete, though Sarah didn't fully realize it. The woman who checked into the hotel bore little resemblance to the invisible accountant who had left Morrison & Associates. Confidence radiated from her movements. Her clothes were carefully chosen but effortless, mixing professional elegance with Miami flair. She had learned to speak up in meetings, to value her opinions, and to take credit for her achievements. On the second night of the conference, there was a cocktail reception in the hotel ballroom. Sarah mingled easily, discussing industry trends and exchanging business cards. She was deep in conversation with a hotel investor when she felt someone staring at her. Turning, she found herself face to face with Daniel Chen. The recognition dawned slowly on his face, his eyes widening as he processed the transformation. The Daniel she remembered would have immediately launched into his charm offensive, but this Daniel seemed momentarily speechless. Sarah felt a small satisfaction at his obvious surprise, but maintained her professional composure. "Sarah?" Sarah Martinez? His voice carried a note of disbelief. Hello, Daniel, she replied calmly, taking a sip of her champagne. I didn't expect to see anyone from Morrison here. I'm not with Morrison anymore, he said, still staring. I started my own marketing firm. But what about you? You look different. Sarah smiled, the kind of genuine smile she rarely showed at her old job. I own a hotel now, in Miami. Casa Luna. Perhaps you've heard of it? She watched as he processed this information, saw the moment he recognized the name from the lifestyle magazines his firm probably pitched to. His expression shifted through several emotions, settling on something she couldn't quite identify. Their conversation was interrupted by the investor returning with a colleague interested in Sarah's renovation strategies. She excused herself politely from Daniel, leaving him standing alone with his whiskey. Throughout the evening, she caught him watching her, a strange intensity in his gaze she had never seen directed at her before. Later that night, Sarah received a text from an unknown number. It was Daniel, asking if she wanted to have coffee the next morning to catch up properly. She stared at the message, remembering all the times he had walked past her desk without acknowledgement, all the presentations where her work had gone unnoticed. She set the phone aside without responding. The conference continued, and Daniel's presence became increasingly obvious. He attended every panel she was on, sitting in the front row and asking questions that seemed designed to impress rather than inform. He sent flowers to her hotel room with a note apologizing for not appreciating her contributions at Morrison. He tried to intercept her during breaks, always with perfectly styled hair and his most expensive suit. Sarah observed this behavior with a mixture of amusement and annoyance. She recognized the pattern from her cubicle observations, but now she was experiencing it firsthand. The difference was that she no longer needed or wanted his validation. Miami had taught her to value herself in ways that no amount of attention from Daniel Chen could match. The final morning of the conference brought an unexpected encounter. Sarah was having breakfast with Marcus Rivera, the investor she had met at the cocktail reception. Their conversation flowed naturally from business to personal interests, and Sarah found herself genuinely enjoying his company. Marcus was different from the men she had known at Morrison. He listened intently, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in her ideas rather than just her appearance. Daniel appeared at their table without invitation, pulling up a chair with his characteristic confidence. But something was different. The easy charm seemed forced, and there was an edge to his smile that Sarah had never seen before. He immediately dominated the conversation, name-dropping clients and bragging about recent victories. Marcus politely excused himself after 10 minutes, leaving his business card with Sarah and a promise to visit Casa Luna soon. "You're making a mistake with that guy," Daniel said once Marcus was gone. "He's known for being ruthless in business." Sarah studied Daniel over her coffee cup. "Since when do you care about my business decisions?" "Since always," he replied quickly, then caught himself. "I mean, we're old colleagues. I'm looking out for you." The laugh escaped before Sarah could stop it. "Daniel, in 3 years at Morrison, you spoke to me maybe 20 times, and all of them were about expense reports. You didn't even respond to my resignation email." His face flushed, and for the first time, Sarah saw Daniel Chen genuinely flustered. "I was an idiot," he admitted. "I didn't see what was right in front of me. But now I'm visible because I'm successful," Sarah finished for him. "Because other men find me interesting. Because I'm no longer the quiet accountant in the corner cubicle." Daniel's jaw tightened. Over the following weeks, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He started showing up in Miami, claiming he had clients there. He would appear at Casa Luna's rooftop bar, always alone, nursing expensive whiskey and watching Sarah work. He sent elaborate gifts that she promptly donated to charity. He hired a photographer to do a feature on boutique hotels, specifically requesting Casa Luna. The situation escalated when Marcus began visiting Miami regularly. He and Sarah developed a genuine friendship that slowly evolved into something more. Marcus appreciated her business acumen as much as her transformation. He saw the intelligence that had always been there, just now wrapped in confidence and success. Daniel's jealousy became increasingly obvious. He created fake social media accounts to leave negative reviews of Casa Luna, though they were so clearly personal that the platforms removed them. He tried to poach her staff, offering inflated salaries that his startup couldn't actually afford. He even contacted some of her investors with vague warnings about her lack of experience, actions that backfired spectacularly when they called Sarah directly. The breaking point came during Art Basel Miami. Casa Luna was hosting an exclusive event for artists and collectors, an idea Sarah had developed to position the hotel as a cultural destination. The evening was perfect. The rooftop transformed into a gallery, the Miami skyline providing a stunning backdrop, and influential people mingling over craft cocktails. Daniel arrived uninvited, dressed impeccably but with desperation in his eyes. He had been drinking before he arrived, and his usual control was slipping. He cornered Sarah near the bar, his voice loud enough to draw attention. "You were nothing before," he said, his words slurring slightly. "Just another boring accountant. I made you want to be better. My ignoring you made you become this." The rooftop fell silent. Sarah felt all eyes on her, waiting for her response. The old Sarah would have shrunk away, would have made herself small to avoid conflict, but that woman no longer existed. "You're right about one thing, Daniel," she said, her voice clear and steady. "I was overlooked. But you're wrong about why I changed. I didn't transform myself to get your attention or anyone else's. I discovered who I always was when I stopped letting people like you define my worth." She turned to address the crowd, her confidence unwavering. "Casa Luna exists because my grandmother saw potential where others saw nothing. She built something beautiful through hard work and vision. I'm honored to continue her legacy, surrounded by people who value substance over surface." Security quietly escorted Daniel out, while Sarah returned to her guests. The incident became a turning point, not because of Daniel's outburst, but because of Sarah's response. The story spread through Miami's business community, adding to her reputation as someone who handled challenges with grace and strength. Daniel's marketing firm folded 6 months later, his jealousy and obsession having consumed his focus and credibility. He sent one final email to Sarah, a lengthy apology that she deleted without reading. She had no room in her life for people who only saw value in what they had lost. Sarah and Marcus eventually became business partners as well as romantic partners, expanding Casa Luna into a small chain of boutique properties. Each hotel told a story of transformation, of spaces and people overlooked until someone saw their true potential. Years later, at an industry awards ceremony where Sarah was being honored for innovation in hospitality, she thought briefly about her time at Morrison & Associates. The invisible accountant in the corner cubicle seemed like a character from someone else's story. She had learned that being overlooked was not about being unseen, but about being unseen by the wrong people. Daniel Chen had been wrong about making her want to be better. His jealousy hadn't made her unforgettable. It had simply revealed what had always been there. Sarah Martinez had always been extraordinary. She just needed to step out of the corner and into the light to realize it herself. And in the end, that journey from overlooked to desired had nothing to do with anyone's jealousy and everything to do with her own courage to finally see herself clearly.